Just a heads up to you folks sitting with a notebook and pen, Mishki, the new podcast here in Garage Logic Land, is now coming out twice a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. If you're in fact scribbling this down, Wednesday is kind of tough to spell. It's not like it sounds. You want to spell it W-E-N-Z, but that, of course, would be a mistake. Friday is spelled just like it sounds. You're going to be okay there, but Wednesday's a bugaboo. Let me tell you, people, just a pain in the patootie. Jeez, it's hard.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Wondery. That's greenlight.com/Wondery.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reuvers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reuvers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reuvers?
Bit of a mixed-up schedule this week, just with you traveling and the holiday week and all of that thing. So we're coming to you on a Friday.
You know,
this
people really appreciated that we worked on Monday.
Yes, we did.
It's called Labor Day for a reason. And you and I worked. We put out maybe the best show we've ever done. If you haven't listened to it, go back or go onto YouTube and watch it, because you could really see something good.
You know, in the summer times, there's a lot of people that choose to golf over doing a show.
Oh,
and there's a lot of, I'm not ripping on Joe by any means whatsoever, but there's also a lot of people that say, you know what, the world just needs to hear what we have to say, especially on a holiday weekend.
You do know for the last 3 days I was golfing down in Denver.
I did
in
not
Colorado Springs.
That.
You didn't know that?
Well, I knew you were traveling. I didn't know you were golfing.
I have this business organization that I'm a part of, right? It's 100 years old, and it's all these great business guys in the hardware industry, and they somehow have decided that it's okay to use corporate money to send us all to this beautiful, beautiful resort. And we golf for 3 days. It is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But it's always the week right after Labor Day, right? So it's the Tuesday through Thursday right after Labor Day. In fact, I just got home right now on Friday. And it was a really, really great time. I think I posted something on the Frat Pack showing people what the place looked like, because it's just really special. The problem with it is they just had the Senior Open there, right? So they had the Senior Open. And Bernhard Langer said it was the hardest putting surfaces he's ever had. I shot a 50-50, and everyone's thinking that I shot 100, right? And I did shoot 100, but I didn't shoot 50 on the front and 50 on the back. I shot 50 with 50 putts. The greens are so damn hard. I usually shoot mid-80s, right?
Sure.
And I shot 100 because I took 50 putting strokes on one of the rounds. 50 strokes is a lot. I 4-putted multiple holes.
So it was almost like we were doing a best ball and you invited me to play along.
Oh my God. It was just, I'm standing there on the edge of this mountain, and I'm looking, obviously I'm going up 6 feet. And the mountain throws you off, because we don't have mountains in Minnesota.
We do not.
So we're not used to it. But everything was downhill. Even though it looked uphill, everything would throw you off. So it was pretty cool. Thank you for letting my corporation go there, right? My company lets me go to it. It's really, really great. Guys know how to have fun, too, when they're away from the family for 3 days.
I'll
tell you that. I was hoping a couple days ago, my voice was so hoarse. I'm like, I wish I could have recorded a podcast with a nice, deep voice. Would have sounded something different than a 12-year-old boy. Yep.
All right, so speaking of business, I stumbled across this, and then you chastised me because this is a 30-year-old story. But I get it that it was old, but I found it interesting in the fact that I had never heard of this story before.
What? Okay, remind me.
So in 1995, this little tiny company that serves beverages called Pepsi offered a $33 million fighter jet if you had the ability to collect 7 million Pepsi points.
I remember that.
Now, I'm old enough to remember Pepsi points, and I know you are too. So the company, they thought it was a joke. However, a 21-year-old took them seriously, found a loophole, and demanded the fighter jet for his 7 million Pepsi points. It's the wildest lawsuit in advertising history. John Leonard was watching TV when he saw Pepsi's commercial. Sunglasses for 75 points. T-shirts for 175 points. Then the big finale, a Harrier fighter jet landing at a high school for 7 million points. Leonard started to do the math. The commercial said that you could buy additional points for 10 cents each. 7 million points times 10 cents equals $700,000. A real Harrier jet costs $33 million. Leonard saw the deal of a lifetime. The problem, he was broke. A business student at Shoreline Community College with no money, so he did what any entrepreneur would do. He wrote a business plan. His pitch, raise $700,000, get a $33 million military aircraft. The crazy part? He found 5 investors willing to fund his scheme. The plan was simple. Send Pepsi the minimum 15 points from actual purchases, then buy an additional 7 million points at $699,988. The total cost for a $73 million aircraft. Okay. On March 28th of 1996, Leonard sent his check for $700,000 to Pepsi. He included 15 Pepsi points and $10 for shipping and handling. On the order form, he wrote 1 Harrier jet in the left column. Pepsi's response? They returned his money with coupons for free Pepsi.
Oh, that's nice.
The rejection letter was brutal. Pepsi called the commercial fanciful and humorous. They said no reasonable person would believe they were actually offering a military fighter jet. Leonard's counterplay. He hired lawyer Larry Shantz and prepared to sue, but Pepsi struck first. On July 18th of 1996, Pepsi preemptively took Leonard to federal court. They wanted the case declared frivolous and Leonard to pay the legal fees. The gloves were officially off, but it got even crazier. The Pentagon got involved. Defense Department spokesperson Kenneth Bacon told reporters that even if Leonard won the jet, he would have to be the jet would have to be demilitarized. This meant stripping its weapons and its ability to take off vertically. Basically, a $33 million lawn ornament. The case became a media sensation. And again, I just graduated from high school when this happened. I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember any of this.
All right, well, keep going. I love the story.
Leonard's lawyer argued that a federal judge couldn't decide the case. He demanded a jury of Pepsi Generation members who would understand the commercial was a real offer. The judge was not amused. After 3 years of legal battles, ruled against Leonard in 1999. This is now 4 years later. Her reasoning, no objective person could reasonably have concluded that the commercial actually offered consumers a Harrier jet. Leonard lost everything, but the damage to Pepsi was done. They immediately changed the jet's price from 7 million to 700 million points. They added a just kidding disclaimer to all future airings. The lawsuit cost them millions in legal fees and bad publicity. The case became Leonard versus PepsiCo, one of the most sought cases in law schools today. It established that companies can't hide behind it was just a joke if their marketing creates reasonable expectations. Every major brand now includes disclaimers because of John Leonard. He may have lost the case, but he changed advertising forever. Today, he's now 48 years old and works as a park ranger in the state of Alaska. He still doesn't own a jet, but his story became a Netflix documentary in 2022. Sometimes the biggest victories come from the fights you lose. The lesson from entrepreneurs, bold moves get attention even when they fail. Leonard's failure made him more famous than successes ever could. That's the power of taking calculated risks that capture the public imagination. So anyway, the reason I wanted to bring this up was, number one, I do not, and
Really?
if I did, okay, Mike,
Hey,
I just graduated high school.
Do you not remember the actual
I'm
commercial?
chasing tail. I don't remember.
You don't remember
any of
that actual commercial,
I
though?
really don't.
Oh, the guy lands a Harrier jump jet in his backyard.
Okay.
It was super, super cool.
But here's the one thing I can say. So this is right after I got done with high school. I was preparing to kind of get my classes. I was working full time. In fact, I was working a full-time job and a part-time job while I was taking my first year of classes because I was still living
you
at
were in
home.
the Pepsi business.
At one point.
Kinda.
So I was working for a vending company that will remain nameless because
Sure.
I don't want to indict them in this story. And I loved working for that job. In fact, when they finally fire me from here, I'm going back to
You're
that
going
vending
back.
job because I loved it so
And now
much.
you can wear headphones. You can just listen to
100%.
podcasts all day.
So I remember working for this place, and it was, you're delivering chips and snacks and sandwiches to vending machines. And I loved that job because you were pretty much left alone. If you did a good job, they didn't bother you.
Sure.
And so, I would fill pop machines and all that stuff. And I remember, I can't tell you how many times I would get approached during the Pepsi Points era of guys willing to buy basically cases of stuff off the back of my truck for me. And I said, I can't do that.
Sure.
That's against company policy. I said, but if you want me to charge you $1 per can, here's a 24 pack or whatever. But they were willing to buy stuff like literally off the back of my truck.
For the Pepsi points.
For the Pepsi points. Because that's how I remember how big of a marketing campaign that was back in the mid to late 90s, but I was not familiar with that story at all.
Well, we have to thank that guy specifically. Now a box of nails at the hardware store has a little thing on there that says, do not swallow, right? It's all those things that we have to keep people protected from.
Sure.
But you might not remember this, and this is going to tie into another story that's current, that's live, right? When we were kids, do you remember how important Coca-Cola clothing was, or Marlboro clothing? I have pictures of me at like 10 years old where I'm wearing a Marlboro rugby shirt.
Sure.
Right? And a cigarette company or a booze company could never go all the way down to children's clothing anymore. Get kids wearing the Marlboro wear. And those were big things. Remember even the McDonald's Monopoly game?
Oh, yeah.
How big those things were, right? And
in fact, didn't McDonald's also have to change their ruls?
Well, they didn't have to change the rules. They had someone cheating, scamming, and winning. Like some guy had 3 of his buddies win, right?
Okay, that's
he
what
won
it was.
and 3 of his friends won, all right? The printing company was stealing from it, right?
Gotcha.
Which is horrible. But those days are gone, right? Those days of those fun things, because now it's all digital. Now they only just want your email address, right? They just want to market you. You can't just get a little sticker that you can put on a piece of paper.
Scan this QR code, that kind of thing.
But it's all going to change. You know why it's all going to change, Ravers?
Talk to me, you marketing guru.
Because some marketer turned to some gal with purple hair and said, maybe we shouldn't put an androgynous 400-pound person for a Nike sports bra ad. Maybe we should put Sydney Sweeney on an ad for American Eagle jeans. And you know what happened to American Eagle in the last 5 days?
What's that?
The stock itself is up 43% in 5 days because some genius said, you know what used to sell jeans? Pretty girls. And in the history of the world, that's worked. But for a while, companies like Jaguar said, we're not even going to make cars anymore, but we're going to put a bunch of random robot-looking people in an ad that's not even about cars. And it literally destroyed the value of Jaguar almost instantaneously. But some guy, remember Mad Men, that show Mad Men?
For sure.
That's maybe when advertising was good. Where a guy sitting there smoking a cigarette, having a drink, said, let's put a chick in a pair of jeans. Maybe she's got big boobs. Let's see what will happen. And people are going nuts for it. So thank God that kid changed the world trying to get his stupid Harrier jump jet, and we've now gone full circle, and hopefully we're right back there. Maybe McDonald's will come back with a point system, or Marlboro will come back with points.
So you think what happened was 30 years ago when this kid was trying to pull a fast one on one of the largest global brands of beverage distribution in the entire free existence of mankind.
Yeah.
He thought, all I want out of this is a settlement, a Netflix documentary, and Sydney Sweeney in a pair of American Eagle jeans.
I think so.
I think so.
Let's talk about Pepsi for just a second.
Sure.
Is it even a blip on your radar? Like in
terms of what?
As a company anymore. When we were kids, it was a Pepsi versus Coke thing. They seemed relatively equal, right?
But isn't everything now, though, because it's not only what they own as an entity, but it's what they have a controlling interest over of. Meaning they're a global brand. They own Frito-Lay. They own Celsius.
Taco Bell.
They own all of this other stuff.
Pizza
so
Hut
that's pretty much
Kentucky Fried
what.
Chicken.
Yeah, it's
Dr. Pepper.
Yes,
and Dr. Pepper.
They own everything. And it's basically there's about 6 different outlets that own everything.
But have you ever walked into a bar and said, "Hey, give me a Captain Diet," and they say to you, "I'm sorry, we have Diet Pepsi. Is that okay?" I've never had that happen in my life. Maybe they're just feeding me Diet Pepsi,
As a
and I just don't
bartender,
know it.
I can tell you right now, when you say I would like a Captain and Coke, and all we have is Pepsi products, I'm just making you a Captain and Pepsi.
But I'm just in general thinking, is that possible that Pepsi's still a thing? What a shame, because I think Pepsi was making a run for Coke.
Okay. I didn't. I guess I didn't realize. I wasn't prepared.
As a
for you
kid,
to be
don't you recall that?
Oh, for sure.
Remember
wars
the
between
Great
the two.
Taste Challenge?
Oh, for sure.
I thought it was good. Now Pepsi's a skid mark on Coca-Cola's history.
Let's talk about a good brand, though.
Oh, let's do it. Which one?
Our friends at We Are Nuts
they're the
and
best.
WeAreNutsMN.com. Did I share this story with you? Last Friday, I had my 2 boys out at the state fair with me because I always treat them with one day out at the Minnesota State Fair. And so we're
$300 worth or whatever.
Oh my God, it's just ridiculous. But we did. We walked out. We went out. We did the GL show out at the fair. We always go down the big giant slide. And then we go on a couple of rides. I let them go on a couple of rides, or maybe we'll play a couple of games or whatever. And so we walked over to the We Are Nuts booth. And Jim, the
Big Nuts
the founder,
Jim.
Big Nuts
Mr.
Jim
Big
was
Nuts.
there. And he said, "Hey, boys, You want to know something? Do you like Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal? And of course, my 13-year-old said,
Yeah.
duh.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
It's like one of my favorites. He handed him a little handful of the cinnamon toffee peanuts. Same with his little brother.
Okay.
And he chewed those up. He said, oh my God, these are amazing. So then, of course, he let them finish that jar there. He then handed each of them
that's nice.
a jar of cinnamon toffee peanuts. I thought, perfect. They can snack on these on our drive home. No. They were both woofed down by the time we got back to the Hubbard shuttle.
That's a lot of food. They shouldn't be eating that many peanuts, Rivers.
That's just how addictive the cinnamon toffee peanuts are.
They are delicious.
And of course, I had the bourbon toffee almonds, which are fantastic.
Yep.
Those are my favorite, but it doesn't matter.
Rivers, I'm allergic to almonds. And that's my favorite one.
Is it really?
Honest to God, I shouldn't eat
Get the
almonds.
shot ready.
My wife looks at me like, "What are you doing?" They hurt my stomach. And to be perfectly honest,
Gotcha.
right? I eat them almost every day.
Yeah, so if you are in the moods, go to your local Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden stores. Go to Max Hardware, Lunds and Byerly's. You can also see them at Kowalski's. There's a couple of Target locations that carry them. And also go to their website, which is wearenutsmn.com, and you can place your order from anywhere, and they'll ship it right to your front door.
Anywhere.
And that's what's the beauty of the.
You can do it from Russia.
You think they'd probably take a couple of days to get that?
It's going to take a while to get there, but you can probably do it.
But please place your order and let them know that you heard about We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com right here on the Weekly Scramble podcast, and we will be right back. So you're desperately trying to get a hold of Patrick here, who's sitting to your right, writing his column, interrupting a column and a piece he's doing on my school, Mankato State University. What was your question for Patrick?
Well, it wasn't really a question, but we have like royalty right in our studio.
Sake.
You're not. What you don't get is you're close to him every day. I'm a fan.
I'm the one that called him for coming back to Twitter the other day.
I saw that.
Every day.
Every day. Are you back now?
Only once a week.
That's true. Now he's only going to put up with me twice a week.
Okay, that's smart. But I thought we have royalty in here, sitting here. He's typing the whole time. And we said, is this going to bother you? And he's like, I don't even know you're here. Right? That's not what it's like. So I'm sure you have some sports you can talk about.
Earlier today on Garage Logic, Pat, we kind of briefly brought up the Twins. And I was going to bring up the Twins at some point because I did stay up a little bit to watch the game, and there's a couple of intriguing young players. But I remember watching the game. They have a 3-1 lead the other night, and they found a way to lose a game to a team that had lost 204 consecutive games, entering the ninth inning with a deficit.
That was an amazing stat. I couldn't comprehend that. That's
204 consecutive.
204 consecutive games. Yeah, it's incredible. But I really hung up, and I was talking about this. What was the plan? Right. You know, when we dumped everybody. I have no idea. Where's this taking us?
Youth movement.
Yeah, but it's like a bunch of suspects. No, but there's not a. You know, they got an 18-year-old catcher, Jimenez, who's supposed to be somebody's fourth prospect or something. But there's not a phenom there's not, when you trade, when Detroit did this, they won 40 games and they got rid of everybody. They were getting people. And I just don't get, I see this and I don't, we got Taj Bradley. Well, he's a mediocrity.
Mick Abel.
You got Mick Abel, who's had pitched like 16 times this year for another team and been awful. But even if these guys are at their best, it's not like wow. It's
not the next Walker Buehler coming through the door.
It's not. No. By the way, you can get him on waivers now because his arm shot. But
oh no.
But Yeah, I don't.
Excuse me, Walker Jenkins, not Walker Bueller. I'm sorry.
Or Walker.
So are you thinking it's the Pohlads doing something, or you don't even know what they'd be doing?
I don't know what the. I think yes. I think that. Well, they obviously want to get Correa, but why?
Can I let
Why
you know?
they made these other trades? I have no idea. I mean, what was you're not saving a whole lot of money.
You're not gaining anything.
None of these guys are getting ready to get paid the huge money.
Can I tell you what bothered me the most? And I think
you were in favor of it.
That's where I was going.
Okay.
Here's what I wanted to say. Because Pat and I, we've done radio for a long time together. And one of the things, I'm a huge baseball fan. Pat's obviously a bigger baseball fan than I am. And one of the things when this all went down, I went, okay, I see some of the logic, I guess, because you weren't really going anywhere this year. And maybe you're going to take one step back to take eventually 2 steps forward. The problem that I had with the direction that they decided to go with this franchise is, for years, what have we been hearing about? Oh, the cheap-ass Pohlads, the cheap-ass Pohlads. Well, now all you did was you took a gigantic slab of red meat and you threw it into the den for all the people that have been bitching about the Pohlad and the payroll for decades.
It's never been that bad. Never been as bad as it is.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying.
It started last year when Joe Pohlad said we got to right-size the payroll.
I'm going to go sit on it. You mean the genius Joe Pohlad.
Yeah. But here's what the problem is, as I say, we're starting to see what they got.
Right.
And it ain't
good.
They might be better than this, but they might be better than rotten. But right now, semi-rotten looks to be the ceiling, and I have no idea who the phenom's supposed to be. You can't trade Johan Duran and not get somebody that blows your doors off, right?
Do the Pohlads make money with the Twins?
Well, I don't. Somehow they've managed to have $440 million worth of debt, but I think that's just every time they need money, they just borrow it from their own bank.
Sure.
And because there's no way they lost. They paid $110 million of the $440 originally. Then that went up, and then through the years we're in there now. This is year 15 or 16.
They're kind of refinancing their own team.
They've improved the stadium and they paid a hunk of that some of the times, but I have no idea. Now, I know Glenn Taylor, when I was talking to him, Glenn told me that, what these businesses are, when the moguls own them, you might know this, they don't rob Peter to pay Paul. They, you're like Glenn Taylor has 81 companies. And they had 81 budgets.
Yeah, 81 separate companies.
81 budgets, and he wanted everybody to make budget and Timberwolves and blah, blah, blah. So when he had to pay Karl Anthony Towns $126 million back when that was some real money, he went to the bank and loaned it. Borrowed it. And, I think these guys like to owe money. If they're going to pay money, they like to get interest on it or something. I don't know what it is, but I have no idea how they ended up with $430 million in debt. And then, and if you were $430 million in debt, and this guy wanted to give you $1.5 billion, Ishbia. Why didn't they take it?
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you, and I know I've asked you this in a roundabout way before and answered it any way you want, Pat. I've known you forever. Do you think they ever had intentions of really selling the team?
I don't think Joe wanted to sell it because he couldn't find another job, but he wouldn't need it if you sell it for $1.7 billion or something. But I really am confused now. I thought, we have to trade Louis Varland at the last minute because they're going to give us this, what's the guy's name? Morales?
Something like that. The lefty pitcher.
The other day, he pitched for the Saints, got 1 out, and gave up 7 runs. Now, I've seen him. The arm's okay, but he's wilder than hell. He's a flinger. He's not going to make it. You got to be right. You got to be right on some of these guys. You got to be trading somebody to get Walker Jenkins.
Right.
That's
the thing, because I know
there's no wow, did the Twins get him? And all these idiots who do the ratings. You know, the Twins have now moved up to number 2 in the farm system. My fat ass, they have. They are not. They have. How long have we been waiting for somebody to be good? I mean, Keisho can hit. He feels like me, but he can hit. Okay, so
he's a second baseman or a first baseman playing second base.
Yeah, but you know he's a DH.
Right.
But you know, it just what if he turns out to be Royce Lewis? What happened to Royce Lewis? He was the franchise 2 years ago.
He was the can't miss
prospect. Now he's hitting 190.
Right.
I have no faith in their development. You know, their answers to development is to, I don't know what the hardware business is like, but the answer isn't to hire more people. You know, to hire more people to assess them. You got plenty, you got hundreds. You ever look at their employees in the minor league system and everybody? Get Calvin back in here.
Let's tighten her up.
Jim Rance, George Brophy, Ruthie the secretary, and her dog. You could have done a better job than that. Ruthie took dictation with her dog sitting next to her, and Jim Rance and Brophy, and they were right more often than these guys have been right.
Because what I think happened, Pat, when I saw, like, obviously they got rid of what 2/3 or whatever it was of their 40-man roster. It struck me as what Spielman used to do. Let's just get as many guys as we can, and let's see if half of them stick, even though we know half of them aren't.
Spielman was.
Let's get as many 7th-round picks.
Well, he liked 6th and 7th-round pick because they were cheaper than undrafted free agents.
Correct.
You know,
yes.
That he might have to bid for, but these guys are proving what an idiot he was. But,
so from the general public's view, me, right? You guys are deeply into baseball. I'm a general guy. What do I say to the poll ads? Do I say, "Oh, I feel so bad for you poll ads. You must be going out of business"?
You say I'm not going to any more games.
They don't seem to care.
Wait a minute.
Well, they do.
I have a better question.
Yeah.
Did you still get your renewal for your advertising budget with Twins Radio?
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm a fan of the Twins, a casual fan of the Twins, but it's perplexing what they're doing, and I don't know what PR thing the fans can do to push back to the Twins saying, "What are you doing to our team?"
Well,
Why
but here's the thing,
this?
Mike.
Or do they just not care about that?
Well, I don't know if they do or if they don't, but you know, as Pat can attest, it's just always you see the drop off once Labor Day hits, kids are back in school, things like that. But I never saw Target Field as just empty as it has been the last couple of days. And it's hard work to get swept in 4 games by the Chicago White Sox, who, by the way, have the worst record in the American League.
Well, it never happened. We have. They're the only team.
Listen to this stat,
They're
Mike.
the only team that has been in our division, whether it's the American League West, or the American League Central, for all 65 years. First time they've ever won a 4-game series here.
Really?
Even when they were good.
Yeah.
They never won a 4. Now, I don't know how many there have been, maybe 15 or something
But still, that is symbolic.
Yeah.
For this season,
But
for
your
sure,
stat's better. 200 and some games without ever winning in the 9th inning.
204 consecutive games, the White Sox had never won a game entering the 9th inning behind in the
And that's
score.
an interesting stat, but you are behind going into the 9th. It's how often do you win going
This
in?
might be a world record, though, Mike.
I'm sure it is,
I've never
probably.
heard anything that extraordinary.
And keep in mind, Mike, this was a team in the White Sox that set the baseball record for losses just a season ago.
Yeah.
And so, anyway. Well, Patrick, thank you, sir.
You betcha. I gotta send this very mediocre column.
You are getting an on-site report from Patrick's column right now. Let's talk about North American Banking Company. My friends at nabankco.com are here to serve you, your family, and, of course, your business. And you know what? Many people are sending their kids off to college right now. Set them up financially with maybe a checking account.
Set the Twins up financially. Maybe the bank can do it for the Twins.
Mike Bilski would buy the Twins in a heartbeat if he could.
Let's do it.
So contact my friends at North American Banking Company today. They have 6 fantastic Twin Cities locations to serve you, whether it's 50th and France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, Maple Grove, and Roseville. They do offer all of the same online services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or perhaps get that new car that you've been thinking about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. So check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender. So here's the other thing I wanted to bring up. You were talking about, Sydney Sweeney and all of that stuff, and we talked about I felt like an idiot because I did not know about the Pepsi story. That's fine. But the thing that's funny is when you run into these holiday weekends, you kind of unplug a little bit.
Sure.
You kind of get out of touch. I know you were out of town for a couple of days. What?
The Venezuelan drug lords getting blown out of the water?
Oh, that's true. Let's talk about that a little bit.
That was kind of a big story. I really wanted to talk to you about this. Did you guys talk about this on GL?
We did. It came up as a Johnny Height news story. The mayor himself did not bring it up as a quote-unquote topic, but it did come up. We
attacked another country of their citizens, drug dealers, drug lords, potentially. We blew them out of the water. And you know what we said? Tough shit. That is... And I'm not really against it, and I'm not really for it. I do think, Reavers, that's a big story. That you don't just go into other people's country. Obviously, they were in the ocean, right?
Right.
And we just blew them out of the ocean. And then when Trump says, it was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of drugs. So many drugs in that boat. How do we know that?
Well, it's hard to deny the fact that, especially as it comes to the larger cities in this country, just the overriding drug issue that we do have.
100,000 people died of overdose last year.
And it's sad because I know 2 families that have been directly affected by fentanyl overdoses, one here in the Twin Cities and one in another city. And it's sad. These are young lives that are being taken away just because of addiction, right? And it's hard to really quantify and put into perspective where to start. How do you solve the problem at its root cause, right? And so that's what I think measures have to be taken at some point. We can't just continue to let this cycle just keep going because it's going to get worse if it doesn't get better.
Remember when the Israelis set up that beeper thing where they put the beepers and the bombs in the beepers?
Oh, that's right.
Now, every single drug lord coming out of Venezuela, coming out of Mexico is going to think, is a drone above me right now, and is it going to blow me out of the water? Is it going to land in my pool and kill me? We know where these drug lords are. Right. They're not hidden from us, right? Claudia Scheinbaum's telling us where they are. She might be just too afraid to say, United States, could you please help eradicate drug lords from Mexico? I have a proposition for you. A proposition, not a preposition, a proposition.
Okay.
Should we just go ahead and take over Mexico?
Okay, that's
You think
drastic.
I'm joking?
You know what? Knowing you as long as I have, I know you're not joking.
A huge percentage of the population of Mexico already lives in the United States. We're simpatico with them. We have the same values as Mexico. Family values predicated on Christian beliefs. They have a lot of children. They're good, solid, hardworking people and good people. The problem is they have a horrible drug problem in that country. Strangely, they don't use it like we use it in America, but it floods through Mexico to us.
Sure.
So if we go into Mexico, eradicate the drug problem. It's just gone. And we do it militarily. And we don't take them to court and have them sit in a jail we just clean house. And then we say to Claudia, hey, why don't you become state number 51? Then you know what, Reavers? I can buy a house down there. I can go down to...
this is about you.
Because I can't own property there now, right?
Right, that's true.
I can't just live there. But you know how many Minnesotans would start moving away from Fort Myers because they're sick of the Twins? You know how many Major League Baseball teams would be based out of Cancun for the Pineapple League?
Can I be the president then of the Amateur Baseball Association of Mexico?
I think that, I don't even know what we would call it. Well, maybe we'd still call it Mexico. It would just be the 51st state.
Sure.
I, honest to God, don't think that's that dumb of an idea. And I think if I was the president of Mexico, because I'm afraid that drug lords are going to kill me, because that's what they do. They kill presidents there. We could just clean that up. 100,000 people died in the United States of fentanyl and fentanyl-related deaths, right? Of overdoses. If any other country came into America and killed 100,000 of us, they would be wiped off the face of the earth, period. Why we accept Mexican drug lords dragging this stuff into our country is incomprehensible to me. Why would we do it? They're fighting a war, and their bullet is fentanyl pills.
Interesting.
Why are we? And I would love to be able to go down to any spot in Mexico. Puerto Vallarta. Have you been there?
I love it.
It would be so great.
Yeah.
And then, but now you can buy a house there.
We've already renamed the Gulf. We're already making progress in that regard.
Let me say this: if they're willing to become a state, let's rename it back Gulf of Mexico. I'll give that back to them.
You will. That's your negotiating tactic?
There's something really interesting. The Mexicans call it Gulf of Mexico. We don't have to. Just like, the Japanese, they don't call themselves Japanese. We call them Japanese. They're Nipponese. Germans, we call them Germans. They're Deutschlanders or whatever. They don't call themselves Germany. We just give people names. So what if we name this water the Gulf of America? Mexicans are still calling it the Gulf of Mexico. On their maps, they still print Gulf of Mexico. Right? Boy, I'm mad. I was gone for 3 days and I'm lit up.
You're really wound up.
But you guys Joe didn't have an opinion on American troops just randomly killing people?
He really did not have a thought on that.
I think I'm all right with it.
The only thing that it came up was whether or not the videos that were generated as a result of it were AI. I believe that was the only discussion topic.
I think your left-leaning intrepid news reporter said it was, and then I looked it up, and they said, "Oh, that's the Venezuelan government proclaiming." So Johnny had to fall on the Venezuelan side, as he likes to do. Yeah. Commie. I didn't call him a commie.
No,
I love that guy.
Yes.
Reavers, you are the best.
Thank you, Michael. Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening. The Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps other people find the show. It helps us out as well, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers.